Hello, hello MGTOW. Hello brand new tube. Hello YouTube. Now, I'm going to do my best to try to reverse engineer. Well, let's see. Well, let's see. Who answers to who? I answer to my boss. My boss answers to his boss, which is usually the CEO of the company. The CEO of the company answers to the board, right? Board answers to the local or the of government officials, whether it be in the country, right? Now, who does legislature answer to? Who does Congress answer to? Who does the president answer to? Who ultimately is pulling the strings? You know? Who has been pulling the strings? Now, that's only one part. We can't get any further until we go look at another side. Right now we're looking at the law side, the legal side. Now we're going to look at the criminal side. Well, first, Republicans all are supposed to respond or converse with the president, and so the Democrats. But the Democrats aren't doing that. They're conversing with somebody else higher. So let's start with the bottom of the chain, of the food chain. Well, let's see. We've got the people who are advocating. People who are usually who are on Social Security, who are on basically things that they don't really need, like assisted living, child support. Basically, run through the courts like basically every freaking month they're in court for for raising of child support. Those people, you know. Then we go up to BLM. Who's in charge of BLM? Who's extorting money for BLM? And Antifa. So BLM and Antifa have pulled their resources and their freaking manpower together, right? Well, let's see. Somebody
You have 6 hours and 16 minutes of remaining drive time.
Somebody has got a hold of those movements, those organizations. Somebody is paying them from the top. Somebody is paying them from the top. Who? That's the question. You've got to follow a paper trail. Somebody is paying them from the top. Well, let's see. The way that that Biden has not denounced the burning, looting, and murdering of people, and has continued to let it happen so without any form of solution, I'm beginning to think that somewhere in the Democratic Party there's somebody who's or a group of people that are corrupt. Well, beginning to think, I've always thought that. I have always thought that, you know? Okay, so now let's see. We got House of Representatives, legislate. Somebody at the top is pulling the strings. And I aim to find out who. Now, it stops right at whoever is right at the presidential level. You know? Stops right whoever is at the presidential level. It can't go any further because the president ain't gonna allow it. So it has to be somebody outside the outside the government who's pulling the strings. It has to be somebody outside the government. Now, who has that much power and an influence? Now you can easily say the corporations are lobbying for things. The lobbyist corporations who are advocating for this stuff, but even they have the answer to somebody to even get to that point. And you're going to tell me that the whole chair board, now there's one whistleblower in every chair board who's basically gathering intel and who doesn't know that. So basically that pretty much almost takes that out the picture. That seems like a logical thing. It has to be somebody who is rich beyond measures, who basically is paying for all of this via the interest in their accounts. And their accounts are not on American soil. I'm just saying, I'm reverse engineering this stuff. Now we have a few individuals. I know Bill Gates is in the mix. Bill Gates is just rich enough, but not quite there yet. Bill Gates is just rich enough, but not quite there yet. But but there are some questions about Bill Gates, about him engineering a disease so that he could, just saying. So that kind of puts him as a suspect. He will always be a suspect. That and the fact is, if it's true that what it is said that his new game console does not have a disc tray, that pretty much adds suspect to him, because he doesn't feel that that him and Bethesda feels that video game companies should not be held freaking to code on their video game consoles, on creating trash video games for gamers, woke video games for gamers. So Bill Gates is now on my suspect watch list. Now we have the Rockefellers. We have Soros, and we have Rothschild, who is just rich and who's more than rich enough. One of them is more than rich enough to fund all this tomfoolery that has been happening in the United States. Paid protesters, ring a bell? They're just rich enough to do that off of the interest. Now I don't know if they're in this together, or somebody's one person's taking charge. Now, question: who do they answer to? That means that there's somebody higher than them that with more money that is allowing them to do this. Who basically haven't dropped their dirt yet. They haven't dropped in their dirt. Now, there are some people whose family has their hands in some crap since the Napoleonic Wars. You have to ask yourself some questions here. I don't mean to get into conspiracy theory, but I typically like to specialize and break in reverse engineering some things. I'm just saying, just put names out there to at least pique your interest or look at. Maybe, just maybe, because it's what it is. Because somebody had to have funded this domestic terrorism called feminism. I mean, somebody had to fund it. Come on, where in the world are the donations from the American citizens? Because it was donation from American citizens, many of these things would not be freaking going on today. Because the donations, the donors have a say in what happens. It was your organization, whether you believe it or not. So it's now not a freaking charity organization. Now it is a for-profit organization that is operating under the guise of a non-profit. So basically, we should do an audit on the feminist movement, right? It's not a movement anymore, it's an organization. It is an organization. But what am I? I'm just a MGTOW channel. Apparently, I'm a little bit crazy, but it seems a little bit crazy, but does it make sense? If it makes sense, then you should be asking these questions. I ask the questions that need to be asked, that I think need to be asked, because nobody else is asking these questions. Nobody else is reverse engineering this stuff. I enjoy reverse engineering. It's one of my favorite things. Reverse engineer chemicals. I love doing chemicals are the most fun. Because you basically take the qualities of that chemical. You take pieces of that chemical you run these tests by hand to find out where they were and how they were formed. You know, I enjoy it. You reverse engineer machinery. I like doing that because why? Because it's like you learn something when you take it apart. You learn its faults, you know its your strengths, you know its weaknesses when you take it apart. I enjoy that. You get a better understanding. But I'm gonna say this: something really smells fishy, and you know what? And I'm not anywhere near a female or the ocean or a fish market. So, just a little video asking, getting your mind going, to see if we can get your mind going a bit. Maybe ask some, maybe stir up some crap, you know. I don't think I hit any nerves, you know. But in case I have, it's what it is. It just takes a little section time to think about it and reverse engineer it. But this is MGTOW the Win, signing off. If you like this video, like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section. Have a nice day.